Hello. Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. It's been a little bit of a while. Things are a little different. Time to pick things up and get back to it. I am a Doctor Who fan. That is not news. I am a huge geek. So yeah, I'm a Doctor Who fan. Huge Doctor Who fan. I have collections. Doctor Who, River Songs. Some stuff that never showed up on the show, but you collect the toys. Doctor Who fan. Not the least of which is my love for the props of the show, the effects. And from the old show to the new, big fan of the sonic screwdriver. Right down to having the brand new one. Sonic screwdriver is one of those problematic things for a show like Doctor Who. Started being used by the second Doctor just to loosen up nuts and bolts and open doors. Got used a lot more in the third Doctor and fourth Doctor incarnations. That's when the script writers first started to notice there was a problem with a Doctor having a tool that could get him out of any problem. Because a writer by nature wants to put a character into problems. So, around Peter Davis and the fifth Doctor, they blew up the sonic screwdriver under the instructions of showrunner John Nathan Turner at the time, and it wasn't to return until the American television movie with the eighth Doctor. And came back with a vengeance with Christopher Eccleston, the ninth Doctor, in the Doctor Who revival in the 2000s. And has seen its iterations. I liked Matt Smith's screwdriver a lot. But as it has been used more and more, the writers have expanded the abilities of the sonic screwdriver, which it has allowed for some interesting things and allows the fans to play a game of what can it do this week, right down to you get to a brand new one, which is just a magnificent toy, by the way. 4 modes: green, blue, green pulse, blue chase. And you're like, what can the Doctor do with this now? Or more to the point, what can't he do with this? What situation can you get the Doctor into that his sonic screwdriver can't get him out? Becomes an issue for writers. Or does it? I'm a writer, and more to the point, I'm a game designer. Putting people into bad situations is kind of what I do for my bread and butter day to day. If I'm writing an adventure or anything gaming related, it's mostly so that a game master can put their players' characters into bad situations. But I really like the sonic screwdriver. There is a representation of a simple sonic screwdriver in the Victory system right now as it exists. It's in the space era equipment area. It's called the high-tech wonder tool. It's not hard to see that this is what it's meant to be. But the doctor uses this for a lot more than what the capabilities of that tool in my book is for. Jeez. Just take a quick look at the Wikipedia entry for the sonic screwdriver. It has a list this long of things that the sonic screwdriver has been able to do in the show. It is extensive. It's a scientific instrument. It can do calculations. It can manipulate matter on a basic level. It can change the direction of teleports in process. Stun people. If you have another couple of sonic screwdrivers handy, you can generate a concussive wave with them. You have two of them, you can use it as a stunning weapon or a sonic pacification weapon. So, seeing how I've literally written the book on building equipment for your role-playing game, how do I take something like this and convert it into stats for my role-playing game and still have it be something that I don't mind if characters have? There's a little bit of a clue to that in how I designed the high-tech Wonder Tool. See, the sonic screwdriver, the way it's written at the moment, whether it's the sonic shades phase the doctor went through, which I liked for a couple of reasons and didn't like for another couple, or the brand new TARDIS blue sonic screwdriver, it's not there to do things instead of the doctor doing them. Not there so that the doctor can throw it at a bad guy like a Pokemon and say, Sonic Screwdriver, I choose you, use Thunder Whip. It's not a cure-all for the doctor's problems. Just because he's pulled this out doesn't mean the doctor's automatically going to get past the difficulty that's in front of him now. Now, this is a tool. It's a high-tech tool. It's extremely varied. It's quite a powerful tool. What this tool does is it allows the doctor to use his skills that would normally require the presence of a tool. He doesn't need lock picks to pick a lock if he has this. It does that job. He doesn't need a full science lab to take a scan of someone and tell you how much of their genetic material is their original genetic material. It's a tool. It just does that. I posit that the sonic screwdriver's place in the script, place in the story, is to make it possible for the doctor to use his expertise without the hindrance of requiring other tools to do it. I'd like to make a roll in genetics. Well, you're going to need a genetics lab for that. No. You got the sonic screwdriver. Can I make a computer's roll to see what's going on here? Well, you need to whip out some other computers and maybe take some readings, hook up some hardware. No. I've got the sonic screwdriver, right? I can take care of that. That's what toys and role-playing games are for. So, wow, you really need a whole bunch of stuff to get this done. No, I have my Sonic. I'm fine. So I'm going to design this for the victory system. And that's how I'm going to design it. Not as a way for people to just get out of any situation, not without working for it, but a way for characters to be able to work on getting out of the situation without needing other tools to do it. I've worked this out beforehand. I'm finding right now that despite the fact that I've got a a computer here in my nesting area and access to my phone and all other kinds of wonderful stuff. Pencil and paper, a little time. That way I can use my phone to pull up my references and whatnot. Sonic screwdriver. It's a regular piece of man-portable equipment. Space era, because it's obviously from a high-tech society. It's less than half a pound, but I wouldn't go with a very light piece of equipment. We'll call it light and reduce its weight some. Let's start with flat out what it does. There's a couple of different ways to do that in Victory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just list all the skills that it can work with. And for every skill that it can work with, that is allows a skill use. Base cost $500. Then it's not just what can it work with, but what can it sense. It can sense more things than it can just manipulate. There's some things feasibly that it could manipulate they can't just sense or wouldn't need to. Sense X, allowing it to have the ability to sense something that normally couldn't just be sensed with a regular 5 senses. Base cost 5,000. So it all comes down to a list of skills. Communicate, cryptography. It has broken codes before. Demolition, used for setting off bombs. Investigation, can find things. Lockpicking, security. Art. Cleaning, construction, fabrication, repair. Biology, chemistry, computers. Cybernetics, electronics, engineering. Genetics, medicine, military science, physics, xenology, and instruments. I have in my listing denoted whether the skills are use or sense or use and sense. There are 19 skills that it can use, 20 skills that it can sense. So that breaks down to give us a basic cost of its most basic effects. I can use it to light candles, or to weld metal, or to alter the genetic structure. Well, it's not altering any genes, but it's altering the atomic structure of certain materials on a very finite level. But all of that comes down to, if I have the right tool, I can do that with a skill. It can weld metal. Do I need to come up with it can do this much damage and it causes this many shrugs to come back in the process to weld? No, it allows you to use the construction and fabrication skills, even repair. The special effect is it's welding metal. Then we need to talk about the range that it can do this stuff at. There are 3 basic ranges in the Victory system. There's attack or effect range, the range that it can actually work the skills at. There's the range that it can sense things at, and there's the range that it can communicate at. Now, the base range for all of these is $50 a foot. That's just the cost for being able to extend a foot in the Victory system. Say its range of effect, 100 feet. I can do demolitions over 100 feet with this. I can fix things at about 100 feet. It's the distance over which the doctor has done stuff with it has been very variable. Sometimes he has to make contact or have it very close, or maybe he doesn't need to have it there, but he likes to have it there, see everything that he's doing. Or maybe he can hit that console across the room. 100 feet's a good round number. Boils down to in the same room with him. Sense things. Sometimes things sneak up on the doctor, but talking a character who spends most of his time in rooms and corridors. He's not outside having to sense great distances a lot. A mile? A mile will let you sense low orbit. It gives you a good, nice area around you. If something a mile away, well, let's see. Communicate, though? The Doctor's done some science fiction-y stuff with this. He's reached other spaceships. It's a beacon for things. A light year. Called a light year. 1 mile, 1 light year. So the base cost is $50 for each of those. If you're extending sensory by a mile, that's $5,000. If you're extending communications by a light year, that's $8,000. Communications cheap, actually, for extending range. That makes little pocket communicators and stuff come out at a decent cost. So now how far it can work on stuff. $5,000 base cost. An item breaks the laws of physics. We're going to throw that in once as a general law. It works on things that it should not work on at a distance. It affects things on a quantum quark level. It does the job of much more complicated, larger tools. The fact that all of this, it manipulates matter. It does things that regular items just shouldn't be able to do, even at the space era. That's $5,000 base. It does another weird thing. This tool has no readouts or screens. It doesn't have a display on it. Lights up, but it doesn't do stuff to show you what it is seeing. And that's an issue. I noticed Matt Smith did this very well. He would take a scan of something. Bring it back. And then you look at it. Not just look at it. He'd contemplate it. Change the direction it was facing a couple of times. Later, when Capaldi was loaning the sonic screwdriver to Clara on a fairly regular basis, and even Amy had it once or twice, and they clarified how it works. Point and think. It has a psychic interface. So, it's got one button, but that's because that's the safety. That's the thing that makes sure it's operating when you want it to operate, and it's not just picking up stray thoughts. You think about what you want it to do, and then it does it. Stands to reason that if your mind is putting information into the device, that the device is also capable of putting information into your mind. So, I scan, and I focus on the device. I contemplate. I want this to scan this room and see if there's any iridium in this room. Was there any iridium in this room, and if so, where? Paint me a picture of this room in my mind and show me where all the iridium is. Psychic interface. Doing something else that it shouldn't be able to do. Another $5,000 base cost. That's basically what it can do. That's the effect of this tool. I can justify just about anything it does by it allows me to roll on the skill to do it. even lighting candles and stuff like that, tiny little incidental things. I'll take that under the guise of, if it can do all this other stuff, it can probably light a candle from about 100 feet effective range. At this point, it becomes a matter of the deal. Can I justify it doing X because it can do all of this stuff to begin with? And the game master has a certain amount of leeway to go, no, there's a limit to what's in there, so no, it can't do that. At the same time, if it's, oh, come on, can't I just light a candle? Can't I just turn the cat blue? Can't I just put a blue streak down the back of the cat? Sure. Why not? Okay. Can I make the cat permanently blue? It doesn't affect genetics. It just allows you to scan for them. So, yeah. And turn the cat blue for an hour. How's that? Okay, fine. Deal. Let's boil that cost down here to the multiplier for a light device in the space era is 0.05, so multiply that total out. But we're not done yet, because the basic structure for a light item at space era is a little bit light. They keep getting more durable. They keep breaking. The Doctor didn't lose any of the first generations. He just improved on it and built on it over time with every generation. So how durable a sonic screwdriver is. This one got blown up by a Cyberman. This one, sensory feedback, and it just kind of disintegrated. We don't see them go away that often. And then, lesson myself, I should never put anything away. This one, Davros got this one. I don't imagine it continued to work quite the way that it had been working beforehand. He got it when he was a child. Even as a brilliant scientist later in life, maybe it contributed to his early scientific development. Maybe the Doctor disabled it a bit before leaving again. We don't know. Or maybe it just wasn't designed to work with him and eventually stopped being effective. So we don't know much about what it takes to break them. A Cyberman weapon in the early models, those were Earthshock Cybermen. They weren't quite, oh my god, there's a Cyberman on this planet, we need to nuke it to sterilize it. They were close. They were Earth invasion capable Cybermen. So I'm going to give them better than blaster damage. Say that we're doing like DR35, DR40. It needs some oomph. Base damage resistant for a space era light item is 30 with one shrug and half a pound of weight. We need to modify all of that. Let's give it an armor shrug so it's tougher. Let's give it 2. 2 armor shrugs. Most space era weapons will ignore a couple of armor shrugs anyway, but it should be tough enough to handle. A Viking snapped the Doctor's sonic screwdriver, or sonic sunglasses, in half with his bare hands. The remaining half still worked, kind of, but I imagine he'd want something more durable as a result. A couple of armor shrugs, so that any old Viking can't just grab the thing and snap it in half. Let's give it another 20 DR. That gives it a total of 50. Which is a really, really tough item. Some starships don't have a DR of 50. I can imagine a sonic screwdriver surviving the explosion of a starship. And let's give it an extra 4 shrugs. Shrugs are expensive, shrugs are heavy, but I don't care. This tool should last. This is an icon. People make toys of this tool. Icon should be durable. Okay, that adds a bit of cost. So we need to reduce the weight. It's already half a pound. The weight increment at Space Arrow Light is 1/10 of a pound. I'd like it to be 1/4 of a pound or so. Yeah, it's back in my high school days, while leaving high school, going to college, I worked at a candy store. I got a pretty good gauge of what is a pound. This isn't a pound. This is less than half a pound. This is less than 1/4 of a pound. It's light. It's a tool. It's designed to be used and manipulated like a scalpel. It's not heavy. Adding the armor shrugs, adding the DR, adding the extra shrugs. We need to negate all of that. So let's take 13 weight increments off. Cost this to do at Space Arrow Light. So, okay. What else? This tool requires power to operate. It lights up, which suggests that it has limited uses. It's iconic, it's a special case, but if I was just straight building it as a piece of equipment, it has a power source, and the power source has limited use. We'll give it a lot, give it 100 shots, and more. We'll call the shots, it's not 100 uses, we'll add the feature shots as days, so that it can operate for 100 days worth of operation, not, okay, now it's used over 24 hours no matter what. Now it's got, there's a few seconds, and you add all of its uses together, and once it's used for 100 days, you have to replace the power cell. Basic. That gives us a basic cost. But I don't see that we can be done. This is an icon. It is special. I don't know the doctor could really be said to have any special merits in the victory system as a character. Arguably, he's a martial artist. John Pertwee's doctor was a master of Venusian Aikido, one of the few people who had ever mastered it, who had less than 4 arms. You don't see that as much in more recent Doctor Who stories, but there's precedent to suggest that the Doctor has some special abilities. He's a Time Lord. Time Lords have powers, arguably. Well, no, they do. Respiratory bypass system, they get a few bonuses from 2 hearts. And a special relationship with time, which allows you to justify any number of powers being purchased for them. So yeah, we can call this a super gadget. We not only have its basic abilities and structures, but we can add enhancements to it. Not a lot. It doesn't need a lot of enhancing. I'm going to go out on a canon limb and suggest that not just anybody could take this away from the Doctor and use it. I'm going to suggest that the Doctor can use this, and someone that the Doctor approves of using this could use this. But I don't think just anyone could pick it up, walk around, and Oh, I turned lead into gold. Cool. So that's conditioning. The condition being works for only the doctor or people of the doctor's choosing. Uses a flashlight. It's an illumination source. You can do that with the regular equipment rules, but now let's make it special. Throw the illuminating feature in. During one of the Matt Smith Christmas specials, the sonic screwdriver gets broken in half, leaving him with a partially functioning half. I suppose you could call this a partially functioning half. But it was constantly pulled, sending out a signal, trying to find its other half. The sonic screwdriver was trying to repair itself. That leads me to give it the self-repairing feature. I'm going to give it the Master's Touch feature. All uses of the sonic screwdriver are at a bonus of +3. Because it's a tool, it's supposed to enhance the doctor's use of certain things. Why is he not using another tool or using tools he finds on site? You know he's got to have the natural engineer merit. Why is he using tools at all? Well, it's a good tool. +3 equipment bonus. I'm going to throw in a feature that appeared in the Ministry source book and will come out in a future supplement with expanded enhancements. Endless shots. So yeah, it operates for 100 days, but it never runs out of power. It just always works. Whether it's drawing its power directly from the Eye of Harmony through its link with the TARDIS, or has some kind of super high-tech black hole in suspension somewhere in here, there's no reason that the Doctor's tool should ever need to have its battery replaced. We'll seal it so that this can't be modified, not with any enhancements. That's done. You're not going to be able to put any more enhancements on this device, nor interfere with any of the enhancements already on it. It is what it is. But we're going to throw one more enhancement in before we do that. There's a big signature in this. Over 1,000 points worth of signature to have all of those different enhancements involved in this. So I'm going to throw Almond Veil in as well and mask the fact that it has a signature. If you can beat the -15 penalty, yeah, you can determine that this has some real super high-tech Wuju mojo going for it. But short of that, it's not going to give the Doctor position away if someone tries to sense for the presence of concentrated sources of metaphysical energy, because it is properly shielded. That gives us a total for the enhancements of this, which leads to a total cost for the Doctor's current sonic screwdriver, $81,765. A single piece of equipment which costs more than most characters' starting budget in the Victory system. Yes, I'll take that. Because a character capable of using a tool like this is in and of themselves formidable, never mind getting them into combat or not. Everything that happens between combats, that character is the master of, or the doctor of, depending on your point of view. It's a good tool. It's a great tool. Uncle Drak's probably going to use something like this in his future adventures. He might be using this exactly, because I really like this tool, and It's awesome. So, there's a sonic screwdriver, my thoughts on it, my use of it in the victory system, how I would put it together, and a little trip through the equipment manual. I'll throw a little update about my personal condition after the credits, such as they are. Things are a little different right now. I'm recording from my nest rather than my office because I'm a little more comfortable out here. If you have a different opinion about the use of the sonic screwdriver in the show or in gaming or just as a story element, let me know. Comment. If you have anything, questions or concerns, anything you'd like to ask or anything you'd like me to know. If you could like the video if you liked it, feel free to dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe if you really liked the video. I have a Patreon, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum. Feel free to drop by and see what that's about. And if you're interested, contribute. I'm be very happy. It will help me continue to produce videos and to continue to have awesome things and send Uncle Drac on some adventures of his own. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I'm Scott Corum. I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum. Swallowing is still an issue. It is less of an issue. I am swallowing, period. I am getting stuff down. That's a clear soda. Diet 7-Up. I had some mashed potatoes and gravy from KFC earlier tonight. My lovely wife brought me some at my request. I pushed a little bit too hard last week and tried swallowing some things that are too solid for me. And they just hung out in a pocket in my throat and came up later, and it was gross. And I set myself back some, trying to clear things out. Speech therapist is going to have her business cut out, her work cut out for her tomorrow, earning her paycheck. But I'm doing okay. A little improvement every day. Beard's starting to come back. Mustache is back. And I kind of like the way this is shaping up, so I might trim this down a little bit and straighten it out, but it's the look I'm kind of going to go with. Slowly but surely, building up an Uncle Drac costume, and when I go out in the future on adventures, I'll do some of that as Uncle Drac, perhaps with some perspective. I think Uncle Drac will probably have had cancer too. I think that perspective would be good for good old Drac. Lego TARDIS. Therapy. Toys. More therapy. I hope to be making these on a more regular basis. My energy levels are still very low. And I'll have to work on that. Thanks for keeping tuned. Thanks for sticking with me through the update. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.